The Atlanta Braves blow out the Washington Nationals 11-3 behind a season-high 16 hits, including 4 of them from one Matthew Kent Olson. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on in to the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That fella over there, Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at shortstopball. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts and here on YouTube. Jake had good show on Monday about the lack of effort we saw a lot over the weekend. And I believe there's a minor league show coming, I think, on Tuesday, if I have that right,
yeah,
Jake?
That's correct.
It's what you teased during the show there. But before we get to that, I want to talk about Atlanta's 11-3 win over the Nationals. One, just felt kind of weird. I almost forgot what playing them is like. Braves have not played them since May. You played them like 6 or 7 times in the month of May. You'll play them 7 times in September. You didn't play them for the 3 months in the middle. But a lot of stuff to like here. I think I want to start with Spencer Strider, though, because we saw, while the velocity wasn't there, right? It wasn't traditional Spencer Strider velocity. Everything else looked like Spencer Strider. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. He does allow 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, does give up a solo shot, as Spencer Strider's always kind of done. Somebody will get him on a deep fly ball. But I just thought that he looked really good for this version of Spencer Strider, mixing his pitches well, locating well, sequencing, and pretty much keeping Washington's hitters off balance most of the night.
Yeah, it was good to see from Strider. Back-to-back starts now. And CJ talked about it some on the broadcast, the fact that, we're all hopeful the velocity is going to come back. But I think these starts down the stretch are key for Strider, for him to become confident in one of those other pitches and to know that, look, 95 is still really good. 95, 96, up to 97. Like, that's still really good velocity with good induced vertical break on it. You can still be successful. Now, it is going to have to require you to dial back the fastball usage a little bit, like he's done in these past 2 starts. Now, he ended just over 40% usage on that fastball, but in that 6th inning, it was at 38%. He was actually under 40% there for a minute. And he relied more on that curveball. He almost threw the curveball more than the slider in this start, which is just not something I ever thought we'd see. But I think these starts are important for him in becoming comfortable in that curveball, maybe even the changeup a little bit more, and knowing that I can be successful without being so reliant on a big-time fastball. And maybe it's not the ridiculous 14 K per 9 type of pitcher, but it can still be a really good starting pitcher. And again, I'm very hopeful that the velocity does come back, and we see that same version of Spencer Strider that is going to strike out everybody. But if that doesn't happen, there is still a good pitcher in here. Like, let's not fool ourselves. And that's why I thought the talk with Strider struggling, in the early part of the season was just kind of ridiculous, because one, he's still coming back from major surgery. I know it wasn't full-blown Tommy John, but there are still the makings of a really good pitcher in here. He's just got to figure out, what type of pitcher am I if I don't have the big velocity? And I think that's what he's been kind of battling and trying to figure out. And it is going to require him to have another pitch that he can lean on. And maybe that is the curveball. And it's a pitch that he really started to incorporate before the injury. And you look at it tonight, it was pretty ridiculous. 5 whiffs on 7 swings, 4 called strikes with it too. Overall 32% CSW, 15 whiffs, 6 of 10 whiffs on the slider, which is, always there for him. So this is encouraging for me. And I'll say it one more time. I think it's the 3rd time, and I promise I won't say it again. I'm hopeful that the velocity comes back. But if it does not, we can still see a really, really good pitcher in Spencer Strider, like what we saw tonight and in his last start.
Yeah, maybe the ceiling goes from Cy Young winner to number 2, but he's still a really good pitcher even in this current form. Something like the slow curveball was interesting. 67 miles an hour, slowest pitch he's thrown in his career by like 4 miles an hour or something. But I want to point out something a little bit different. And it's, if you go and you look on StatCast at the breakdown, he threw the four-seam fastball in the zone 80% of the time. Like, he was throwing strikes with it. He got 9 called strikes on it. They fouled 10 off. They put 12 into play. Some of them were hit hard. He had a 112-mile-an-hour batted ball tonight. But the confidence that he has in the induced vertical break, being back to 17 inches and all of that, and being able to throw it in the zone and not be afraid of it. That's one of the big things. He talked about this. I wrote it up like a month ago. He talked about, like, his fastball wasn't competitive in the zone, and he had to fix that. And it feels like he feels like it's fixed. And so it unlocks that version of Strider that you're talking about. He threw the slider in the zone 21% of the time. He threw the curveball in the zone 27% of the time. The changeup 10% of the time. He doesn't need to use other pitches just to get ahead in the count, because he's comfortable in, I can get enough fastballs by them or keep enough off the barrel where I can get everything else to work. And I think that's the big difference in Strider of a month and a half ago and Strider of now, is the fastball velocity is the same, but it's moving better and he trusts it. And that's, to me, a big deal for the future effectiveness of a Spencer Strider if he doesn't get that 98, 99 back, which I'm still a believer he's going to. Give him a full – look what he did with an extra bullpen between starts. Give him a full offseason. This man's going to be throwing 103 probably just to prove he can do it. He's really motivated. I do want to ask about your impressions of Alexis Diaz. They used him again in the 9th, a game. Obviously, you're up by 8. You can afford to do that. He walks 2, but all 3 of his outs come on strikeouts. He strikes out Luis Garcia Jr. It was a 7-pitch at bat. 5 pitches were in the zone. 4 of them fouled off, and then a called strike for the punchy. Paul DeJong, 4 pitches, 3, like, only one of them is in the zone, but he gets some chase there, and then he finishes up with Riley Adams, sets him up with a slider in the zone, and then takes some sliders out of the zone for strikes. It feels like he's maybe looking a little bit more like what you would want him to look like to keep him for next year. Still worried about the overall command, and then can you commit that much money to him and maybe have to start him in the minors?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm just not real keen on the idea of bringing Alexis Diaz back. I mean, it's good stuff, but the Rays got plenty of guys with good stuff who don't know where it's going, and you can use them for a lot cheaper. I'm still hopeful it's going to be a big offseason for the bullpen, that we're going to see them go out and get some proven veteran guys that can throw strikes. And so I'm hoping that one of those guys eventually replaces Diaz on the roster. So again, I think we've seen a lot from him. We kind of know what he's able and capable of doing when he's on. Yeah, he can look really good. I mean, he had a good run there for the Reds as a closer, but it's just he's been bounced around for a reason.
Yeah, that's valid. And if the Dodgers couldn't fix him, one of the best pitching development organizations in baseball, if they couldn't fix him, the odds are nobody else will either. All right, in just a second, let's talk about the offense. Let's talk about Matt Olson's big day. Massive home runs from Drake Baldwin and Ronald Acuna Jr. We'll do all that next right here on the Braves Postcast. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, a same-game parlay, jumping in live as the action unfolds, and talking about what might be the next thing to happen in the game. Who's going to score next? Is there going to be an interception? All that kind of stuff. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sunday. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app, where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. You're not choosing the game, or you're not choosing specifically the next thing that happens. You're picking more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately. It's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. I honestly like going and taking the opposite of what I need to happen for my fantasy team. So either my fantasy team wins or my price pick lineup ends up being a winner. So download the Price Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Price Picks. It's good to be right. All right, Jake. So Braves 16 hits in this one, ties their season high. And they kind of did like we talked about on Sunday, where, they only walked twice. They just didn't draw a lot of walks today, but stringing together hits. They pick up a couple different homers. Matt Olson has the big 3-run shot there in the 5th inning, but Ronald Acuna Jr. just absolutely obliterates a baseball. Drake Baldwin goes down and golfs a slider below the zone. And I don't know right now, is it a bigger deal for me that Drake Baldwin is potentially getting hot and can still make a competitive push for Rookie of the Year? Or is Ronald Acuna Jr. Maybe getting back into himself and what we need him to be so that this offense can hit their potential in 2026? I think Drake's probably the bigger story simply because the impact is more immediate on the Rookie of the Year and the draft pick comes with that, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't worry too much about Ronald and what he's going to like in 2026. I'm perfectly fine with him, and I'm not worried about Drake Baldwin either. To be honest, but I think it is the more immediate need is Drake Baldwin. Yeah. Look, when he gets his RBI, he gets them in bunches. I mean, for him tonight, garbage time stats, they all count the same. But good to see him have a big game and really, get going here. As like I said, the Braves would be great to see him get hot here. He needs a hot finish to the season in order to get things going. Saw somebody in the comment section saying that he got a little nervous about Sandy Leon after seeing that home run on Sunday. I want to make sure he stepped up his game. I was trying to go back and find that comment real quick, but I mean, look, certainly Drake Baldwin and him winning Rookie of the Year is the bigger story there. And the more important story, as Daniel said, I mean, Ronald, he's going to be Ronald. I'm not worried about him. I mean, the guy been injured. He's about to have a 2010 season. He could have had a 2020 season if he wanted to, if these games really counted. I think he would have run a little bit more. So I'm not really worried about Ronald.
Yeah. And, Matt Olson, I guess quietly here, triple short of the cycle. He has hit triples. He has 6 triples in his career. He had 3 triples in that 2023 year. So he could have done it, but this brings his season stats now 277 with not career high, but a second best 372 on base. And his slug is 483, which would be the second best mark that he's had while in Atlanta, outside of that 2023 season where he launched 54 home runs on a juice ball and somebody, supposedly them hacking PitchCom. I know the home run total of 26 isn't where we want it to be, but outside of that number, there's really nothing that, not only is there not really anything to complain about with Matt Olson, I'm starting to get to the point where Matt Olson is underrated, not only amongst the league as a whole, but I feel like sometimes too among the Braves fan base who is mad that he's not Freddie Freeman. And I think at this point, it's clear to say he's been Atlanta's best offensive player consistently beginning to finish this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, look, Lindsay, there's a strong case to be made that he's the best first baseman in baseball this year. I mean, certainly you look at it, I know Mass Boost is saying he regained the WAR lead at first base position. I think Vlad's right there with him too. It's really close with him and Vladdy, but certainly in the National League, I mean, he almost has a 1-point lead in F4 over everybody else at the position. WRC plus, he's right there behind Pete Alonso and Freddie Freeman. And I'm looking at Fangraphs too. They don't update till the next day. So
that's where I was going to.
I mean, he is, again, he's arguably been the best first baseman in all of baseball this season. So say what you want about Matt Olson. And this is that every other year thing too that we've seen with Matt Olson. This is the good year for him, and maybe that's part of it. But as we talked about the other day, I think he has benefited the most from this Tim Hires approach of we've seen him shoot the ball to left field every now and then. The patience has always been there, and the strikeout rate is 24%. I mean, that's about where it always is for him. But you've seen, more doubles. You've seen less home runs, but you're seeing a lot of doubles. I mean, he's right there with the doubles lead too right there with that guy named Freddie Freeman. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic season for Matt Olson. Probably going to win Gold Glove again. Again, I don't know what Braves fans can really get that upset about right now, other than what you said, is that he's not Freddie Freeman, but he quite possibly could be the best first baseman, certainly in the National League and maybe all of baseball this year.
Yeah, kind of going over, I think the National League, he's tied for 17th in Fangraphs WAR among the entire National League. So that's definitely the feather in his cap there. All right, so again, Braves win this one 11-3. You're going to flush it because you got 2 games tomorrow. We have the national starters, Jake Irvin versus a TBD for Atlanta in game 1. Lefty duel, Chris Sale versus Mackenzie Gore in game 2. So really excited about that matchup of lefties. Imagine we probably see Drake Baldwin in game 1, Sandy Leon in game 2, simply because they like to protect Baldwin against lefties, even though he doesn't need it. He arguably does not need to do that. Who do we think Atlanta throws out there in game 1 on Tuesday? Because I just checked on social media. We don't have any report from whoever the Braves beat's actually up there. Justin Toscano would have had it for us. We don't know who the starter is. Is there anybody that they can call up to start in this game, or have they used everybody in Gwinnett and this is going to end up being like a bullpen game in game 1 of a doubleheader?
Yeah, I didn't check to look to see when Jose Suarez or Carlos Carrasco, but you'd have to make a move for either one of them.
Somebody in the chat says that Jose Suarez is the guy. Thank you, Daniel, for getting that to us.
Well, I guess you don't have to make a move. You get the extra man for the doubleheader. So
you do have to have somebody
have to get him on the
40
roster.
Man.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, Dane Dunning was the name I was thinking. I know he pitched a good bit the other day, but you probably try to get a couple innings out of him. And
could do like a Dunning and a Dodd kind of piggyback.
Yeah, and I know Dodd threw 3+ innings the other day too. So that was a struggle over the weekend. None of your starters went 5 innings, and so you had to use a lot of those guys. Otherwise, I'd say slam dunk. You're probably getting a Daning and Dodd start. Is that Dunning and
Dodd?
Dunning and Dodd.
Okay, I got it. It took me a second. It's the double D's. You got the double D's starting. There you go.
Exactly. So I could see them doing that. I could see them pulling up a Suarez too, and just giving that guy for some bulk innings. I don't think it's going to be anything exciting. I think they're just going to try to piece it together and hope that Chris Sale gives you 6-7 innings in the nightcap. And I do think it will be Drake Baldwin in the nightcap, just because probably not going to play him in the day game after night game, even though it is a lefty starting and a tough one. But he had 2 hits off lefties tonight. He hits lefties better. Maybe that note's finally going to get in. I love Mackenzie Gore is a pretty tough one, but I think we're going to see Drake Baldwin in the nightcap catching Chris Sale.
Something I do want to address real quick. It's in the chat from a couple people, and I agree. J.R. Ritchie deserves a promotion, but I think the thing we have to remember about this, and you've talked about it on your show, I've talked about it in the newsletter and things like that. J.R. Ritchie is not required to be on the 40-man roster until the end of 2026. And Atlanta has so many guys that need 40-man spots this winter, whether it's people on the 60-day IL. You've got, top of my head, you've got 4, 5, 6 guys on the 60-day IL right now. So you've got to get all of them need 40-man spots. And then you've got some prospects that need to be protected, like a Blake Burkhalter, guys that have to go in the 60-man as well. So, on the 40-man roster as well. So if you add Ritchie just for this start, and he's already way over his innings from last year. So that is a thing too. If you do that, that means you end up sacrificing somebody else when the season ends and you don't have a spot for them. So I think that's the calculus here. It might be different for Atlanta if they're in the postseason or pushing for the postseason and they need the quality. But right now they just need the quantity of innings to get through the outing. I mean, you could see them grabbing Anderson Pilar and throw him in. I mean, I don't
think it's going to be pretty in that first game.
No, it's not going to be fun. And a quick programming note on that, by the way, barring something crazy in game
Jose
1.
Suarez no hitter. Here we go.
Jose Suarez no hitter. Ronald hits for the cycle. Something crazy in game 1. We're just going to have a postcast at the end of the day, predominantly focused on game 2. We will talk about both, but predominantly focused on game 2. So just quick heads up on that. Don't hop in here expecting a postcast late afternoon tomorrow. We'll just have one for you tomorrow night. But again, Braves take down the Nationals 11-3. Spencer Strider gets the win. First win that he's gotten in, I want to say, months at this point. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review for the show, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when Jake goes live, when we go live, when Locked On Sports Atlanta is talking about stuff. And thank you to everybody for the kind words and the comments. We're coming up on the end of the season, and some people are checked out, but I love that that all of y'all are here and so passionate, bringing us the news. Shout out to Daniel in the chat for letting us know about Jose Suarez and predicting Suarez to Dunning to Luke Williams tomorrow in a Braves blowout win. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.